Commodore Baroque Frank Bainimarama is fast becoming the pariah of the Pacific.
Fiji. Oh.
Damned and feared as a dictator by many, increasingly isolated in the region, he's on a mission to transform the racial politics and the constitution of his country, no matter what anyone thinks, in or outside of Fiji. But in classic Pacific style, today's task is far more prosaic. He's picking up the fruit and veggies.
The international community think we are a failed state. We are a failed African state. If you see me driving around in a tank, everything is working well. There is a governing being. It's not a failed state. A lot of people don't want to understand the situation here, especially Australia and New Zealand.
How are you?
Is it because I'm a military man?
Yes, of course, you've seized power. Okay, no, with a military man in a nice shirt, but you're still a military man and you still have...
Well, I keep telling everyone, a radical change needs to be brought in. And radical change cannot be brought in by some weak organization.
Can you run a country like an army camp? And can you do that for another 5 years?
I can't run a country like an army camp.
Well, you're doing it now.
No, I'm not.
Well, you're demanding...
changes?
You're demanding changes and you're demanding obedience.
Yes, for a reason. Because we want to bring about changes. And you can't bring about changes if you wait 20 years for that to come about. You need to have it done today.
When he seized power in 2006, Bainimarama promised that elections would be held this year. That expectation was dashed 3 months ago when he suspended the constitution, sacked the judiciary and announced he'd be ruling for another 5 years.
From Australia, you go back and tell your guys everything in Fiji is fine.
Yes.
We can walk safely on our street. Nobody murders anybody. Okay? Everything is fine.
What if you don't like this guy, though?
How could you not like it? The place is peaceful. Crikey.
Well, thanks for your time, sir. Now banned from entering Australia, Bainimarama has agreed to an extended and rare interview to clear up what he believes are misunderstandings about his ambitions. A message he would have liked to have delivered to the leaders at the Pacific Islands Forum.
Well, what went wrong?
What went wrong?
Yes.
I say there's a lot of misunderstanding by the international community of what transpired here. And Australia and New Zealand, being big brothers, wanted to stamp their mark as big brothers. And hence the isolation of Fiji from the forum.
Well, they've done a good job. I mean,
they certainly have done a good job.
Mm. Well, Australia's Foreign Minister says that he did warn you that unless you declared that there'd be an election, these consequences would flow.
Why should he be warning me? What's the warning? Why is he warning me? Is he the forum? Is not the forum. The forum is a group of violent nations in the Pacific. It's not Australia. It's not New Zealand. But you see what's happening. They are using bulldozing tactics to have their way with the forum. But why do you think they're doing it?
Because they don't like to see a military dictatorship in the region.
Dictatorship? Dictatorship is in what? What am I doing that...
You've suspended the constitution, you've sacked the judges, you've seized power.
I sacked the judges? Where did you get the brief that I sacked the judges?
Probably every media report on the planet.
The judges, they went out with when His Excellency abrogated the Constitution.
Yes, but the judges declared your government or your rule illegal one day, and day two there...
No. The judges were removed because they were removed when the abrogation, Constitution was abrogated.
All right, so the Constitution's removed, and so the judges are then removed.
Exactly.
But let's get real here.
Let's get one thing right.
The Constitution's gone.
They were not the only thing that were removed.
Yes.
When
everything was removed
exactly.
except your power, right? Everything was removed except your power.
That was removed.
Yeah.
That was removed. I was reinstated as Prime Minister the day after. So let's just get things in perspective. There may not be a constitution, but the laws are back. So if you walk down the street, right now, and you break a law, you'll be taken to the police station, and investigated and charged and taken up to the judiciary, which is now being sworn in and
But
back.
what are those laws? There's a pretty good chance I could break a law on the streets of Fiji. I just have to bring my camera out and try and speak to an opponent of yours, and I'd be breaking a law.
Well, yes, but that's law by decree. There's a decree in place for that, the Public Emergency Regulation. So there's a law. So you break the law, you hopefully like fighting, trying to keep getting them back.
Today, Bainimarama is opening a convention. They're big business in Fiji, and as Prime Minister, he's often happy to oblige with his presence. Until recent months, the regional response to Bainimarama has been a relatively tolerant one, with tourism and trade continuing to bubble along. But now, Australia and New Zealand are becoming far more damning of Bainimarama and more threatening, clearly determined to isolate him and his regime.
I mean, there's now talk of economic sanctions, for instance, which would be a disaster for you.
So what's the answer? Are you saying we go to election? Is that the answer?
That would certainly be an answer. All your problems would disappear tomorrow.
all these friendly nations want us to go to election, and then they stop all this hassling.
Absolutely, I think that's quite clear.
So do they?
For now, Bainimarama's biggest headache doesn't come from foreign nations. The real power he's challenging doesn't lie in Canberra or Wellington. It lies in 1,000 traditional villages across Fiji. While all the correct Indigenous protocols are being followed today, it's those same protocols and the associated privileges that Bainimarama is directly challenging. In essence, he's proposing sweeping constitutional changes to eliminate electoral, employment and other advantages given to Indigenous Fijians over their ethnically Indian compatriots.
Why can't we take those reforms in an election and say, this is what I want to do?
How long would that take?
It would take 6 months.
Do you think the reform is going to be made?
The reforms wouldn't, but you could put them to the people. I mean, it's up to the people to decide whether they want those reforms.
If there were going to be any changes to the electoral reform, why didn't we make the changes in the last 30 years?
Well, do you need 5 years to do that?
Did I?
Do you need 5 years
Yes,
to do that?
I do.
You've had 3 already and you haven't done it, so...
Well, it's not exactly an easy thing to do, you must admit. Yeah?
Ladies and gentlemen.
Ironically, perhaps, today's convention is one for the international media. The Asian Pacific Institute for Broadcast Development has pushed ahead with holding its annual meeting in Fiji, despite Bainimarama having recently turned off the lights on the local media.
Allow me to take the opportunity to thank the AIBD members for remaining firm in your decision to bring the AIBD General Conference to Fiji. I am aware that there have been enormous pressures from certain sections.
With police now in attendance in all newsrooms in Fiji, local reporting amounts to little more than rugby news, factory openings and car accidents.
Ladies and gentlemen, my government believes in media freedom. However, the media must ensure that their work does not impact negatively on the right of others or the stability and well-being of the nation.
But it's not a military dictatorship where we abuse our authority, where abuse...
Well, it depends what you call abuse your authority, sir. I mean, you've got censorship that would do North Korea proud.
You're kidding me.
I'm not
You're
kidding.
joking.
I'm not joking. You've got intelligence officers sitting in the TV station there as the journalists edit their stories.
And what do you think they're sitting down for? Tell me.
To make sure that there's nothing that criticises you or upsets you.
No. They're there to ensure that the press will not come up with any stories that will cause instability. That's it. They can print whatever they want. But irresponsible journalism is not going to be tolerated.
Back at the media convention, the band plays on for the assembled visitors.
And he's not like a military person, you know. I mean, since having in Pakistan, we've seen military people. Seems to be a very gentler and a softer version of it. I don't know if you can say
From
that.
what you're used to.
Maybe because he's in the Navy, that's why. I don't know.
No Australian or New Zealand media organisations have come to this party, but Bainimarama has become used to that.
Well, there's always resistance, especially from Australia and New Zealand and all quarters.
Yeah.
And that's an unbelievable thing about it. Maybe some stage they'll get over it.
And if Australia can't get over it, it appears that other nations can. Back at Bainimarama's office, the Russian ambassador waits for an audience. He may be becoming isolated in the Pacific, but there's still no shortage of ambassadors knocking at his door. The Chinese in particular have become generous donors to Bainimarama in recent years.
Over the last 4 weeks, we have had as many as 4 or 5 ambassadors that have turned up here, providing the support. Your Excellency.
Good to see you. Good to see you again.
Good to see you again.
According to Bainimarama, other nations have a greater understanding of what he's trying to achieve.
You see, there's a lot of things that you, from Australia and New Zealand, don't see. You don't understand the politics in Fiji.
If an election were held today, I think you'd agree Mr. Garasi would probably win it.
He would win it.
Yes.
So where would that take us?
Well, it would be a representation of the will of the Fijian people, and I guess I ask you, where would it take us? Where would it take us?
It's not going to take us anywhere, because, as I said, we're trying to change the mindset of the people from the racial issues that were prevalent in the last 10 years to what we want to take Fiji to.
Which
equal
is
suffrage,
multi-ethnic, equal rights.
Exactly. Isn't that what the Australians would want?
Bainimarama first came to international prominence when racial tension exploded in Fiji in 2000. Then George Speight, Indigenous activists and a rebel army seized Parliament and overthrew the government of Mahendra Chaudhry. They claimed that Indian Fijians were exerting too much power in Fiji. On the street, Indian shopkeepers bore the brunt of the attendant mob. Out of the chaos came Frank Bainimara. He tricked Speight into signing an accord and then promptly arrested him and fought down his army.
Out of tragedy must come a dream.
Bainimarama installed Lasenia Ngarasi as Prime Minister, but they quickly fell out, again on issues of race and Indigenous power. In 2004, under Garasi's government, Indian farmers were forced out of their homes, set adrift without income at a time when the public service was essentially only employing ethnic Fijians.
What I did in 2000, exactly what I did in 2006. We took over executive authority in 2000 because of the chaos. And I handed the executive authority to the politicians, to the political masses, in the understanding that politicians were going to take us forward. They did not. Garasi and his crowd did the turnaround, did the turnabout on the military. Everything, all the direction that we want them to take the country to include all the races, they didn't do that. So I took it back in 2006. I took it back to prepare the politicians to lead this nation. And the only way we can prepare the politicians is by getting a new constitution, get a new electoral system in place.
One man, one vote, and see what happens.
If one man, one vote is good for Australia and New Zealand, why isn't it good for Fiji?
Mr. Garasi, he's not able to speak out against you or to organise against you. I believe he's now not allowed to leave the country. Is that correct?
That's his bail condition, I think. And the rule of law stays. Whatever judges decide, I can't go and say no to that. So,
and one of the reasons given to not allow him out of the country is that he will speak to journalists, specifically he'll speak to journalists in Australia.
well, not really. He would go out and make destabilizing remarks about what's happening in Fiji. So,
And he should not be allowed to do that.
well, no one should be. What we want right now is an opportunity for us to move forward and make these reforms.
Is he able to speak freely?
Well, he can speak to his wife and his family.
Can
he
he?
can go to his pub and drink beer. There's nothing to stop him from doing that. Freely, in that sense, yes.
Can I speak to him?
You want to speak to him, or you want to speak to him about?
Ask him his opinion of you, perhaps.
No, I don't want you to go and speak to him because it doesn't make sense. I want Gareth and his politics to be irrelevant. I want him out. I don't want his politics. I want his politics irrelevant from now on. Okay? I don't want any race issue brought back again.
For Bainimarama, a constitution ensuring equal rights for all Fijians, electorally and otherwise, will end the race card that is so often played and played hard in Fiji.
This is the action that would stop all coups, that would stop all the destabilizing forces from bringing up race issues from now onwards. That's what we're trying to do.
Well, it's a noble aspiration, but every politician on earth believes they have the correct vision. But,
yeah, but isn't equal suffrage good enough for Australia?
Yes, but it's tested.
What?
It's
so
tested.
Why isn't it good for us?
It's tested electorally.
So why isn't it good for us? Why isn't the constitution that would get rid of the race issue good for Australia but not good for us? Why is that?
Could you not achieve that through democratic means, through an election?
I'm just saying it, because over the years...
Because of the way the electoral laws are structured now?
Because how the constitution is done, how the electoral reform, electoral system is made up, that can never change. And why? Because the politicians are happy with that. They're comfortable with that.
Yeah.
They want the race issue to remain so that they can win.
To enhance the role of the chiefs.
Well,
or the indigenous
exactly.
owners.
See? You, an Australian, don't understand this. Wait. Before you carry on. Is it good for Australia for equal one man, one vote?
I'm not saying...
No.
Yes,
no.
it is good.
Okay.
One man, one vote.
So what I'm doing here is as good as that. If I have to fight anyone, I'll fight anyone. Okay?
The road ahead for Bainimarama is littered with international and local roadblocks, which he seems determined to scatter, now including the powerful Fijian Methodist Church, which he suspects of organising politically against him. You've got Australia and New Zealand against you. You're going to have a lot of the chiefs against you. You've now got the Methodist Church against you, and that's the biggest church here. I mean, can you hold this together for 5 years?
Don't forget, Mark, I'm a member of the Methodist Church. I'm not against the reform, so there are 100,000 more like me in here. Just because the chiefs, some of the chiefs are against me does not mean the rest of the indigenous population against me. So the only reason these people are vocal is because of the stance taken by Australia and New Zealand.
That's encouraged them.
Yeah, it's encouraging them.
Yeah.
In fact, they're encouraging one another.
Yeah. But the opposition will come up, though. You've had it fairly quiet.
Well, the opposition will always be there.
Yeah.
I mean,
I guess it comes down to how you deal with it.
Make things exciting for us. It's been dull the last 18 months.
Yeah.
No, we need to talk to these people. We need to get them in and continue with dialogue.
True to his word, the day after this interview, Bainimarama began to bring in a dozen leaders of the church, arrested under the public emergency regulations, presumably to continue dialogue. It seems there'll be no stopping Frank Bainimara.
You're a military man or a naval man, you're an officer. You're used to orders being obeyed. You're likely to be intolerant of opposition or criticism.
Yeah.
Does that make you really unsuitable to run a diverse civil society?
No. What we want in Fiji right now is to bring about changes, radical changes, strong changes, make changes to improve the lives of the people of this nation. And no one can bring those changes into being except the military here, now. In Fiji's history. No one can bring about the changes to the public service. No one can bring about the changes to the land and bring about land reforms. We can do that. We are not elected. We don't have to please the indigenous community. We don't have to please any chiefs. We don't have to please any members in the Methodist hierarchy. We do what we think is good for the nation, irrespective of your color, irrespective of your religion, irrespective of your creed.